What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Kudos Review channel. I just want to start off by saying thank you to everybody that's subscribed to my channel and liked my videos. It's been amazing giving content to you guys and providing content to you guys, and it does encourage me to put out more content. I also want to say that recently I put out an Elrond video in which I had some inaccuracies about the circulating supplies that some people had made comment of. I've since then gone back and updated the description to include a link to a more accurate circulating supply. I think this is a good point for me to say that, guys, I'm not proclaiming to provide you guys financial advice, but I do want to provide you guys accurate information. And I hope with that accurate information, you guys are doing your own research, looking at other platforms and finding coins you like, and then investigating further before you invest. So please make sure that you are doing that. And then lastly, I just want to say that I apologize for the glare in the glasses. I couldn't get my contacts in this morning, so just bear with me. So without further ado, I'd like to get the coin that we're going to review today, which is Elrond. I'm very excited about Elrond because it just took me 10 minutes of research to learn, oh my gosh, Elrond has a fantastic community. It's definitely one of those cryptocurrencies that has a lot of engagement. So I like seeing that because it's the passionate minority that drives these coins forward. So really cool. So Elrond, it's got a ticker EGLD, sitting at a price of $148.66. That's up 8.5% today. That's good to see. It's currently ranked 35 in market cap, and that market cap is $2.5 billion. You look at this price and you say, well, that's a pretty high price, right? But once we get into the tokenomics, you guys are going to see that that's actually a pretty good price. And of course, you guys can dollar cost average in and buy portions of EGLD. And there's a lot of tokenomics that are similar to Bitcoin. So circulating supply is currently sitting at 17 million out of 21 million total supply and 31 million max supply. So what's the deal here between the 31 and 21 million? Well, this 21 million is basically a soft cap for supply, and 31 million is basically a hard cap for the max supply. This is theoretically what the number could get to based on participation rewards like staking and delegating and things like that. So, guys, I referenced Bitcoin and how EGLD is kind of similar to Bitcoin. So we'll go to Bitcoin real quick. So if you go to Bitcoin actually has a very, very similar supply. So Bitcoin has a circulating supply of 18 million with a max supply of 21 million and a total supply of 18 million. So, I think the people at Elrond knew exactly what they were doing when they created this similar supply to Bitcoin, because what that does is like Bitcoin, Elrond now has scarcity. So not only is Elrond a functional token, but it's also got the scarcity of Bitcoin, so that it's going to become more and more scarce and the price will go up. And I also just want to say that actually prior to last summer, so prior to July 2020, when the mainnet was launched for Elrond, the Elrond token was actually ERD, but when the mainnet went live, every 1,000 ERD tokens were swapped for one EGLD token. So essentially that basically, so now what you see here for the circulating supply is 1,000th of what it would have been for ERD. So just taking a look at the chart, you can see over the course of the day, it's 24 hours, it's gone up 8.6%. But what's more interesting, if you look at 3 months, you can see back in December, this coin was worth $11, right? Then in early February, we had this huge, massive climb. Let's see, all the way up to, a height of, $210 roughly. And, that was a huge spike. And so what's happened now is basically you had this market correction, right? And it got to as low as $99, and everybody started picking it back up. And from here, guys, we've just had higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. So this period right here has just been consolidating, right? After that market correction. And now it looks like we're kind of on a cusp of a possible breakout here. So, I've seen, because Elrond has similar scarcity as Bitcoin, I mean, people are saying insane price predictions for Elrond. And probably a more conservative one is there's people are saying $500 by the end of the year. So again, please guys, do your own research, but I've just seen a lot of insane price predictions. So where can you get EGLD? Well, you can get on Binance, Binance.us, Crypto.com. So you get a lot of different places. That's pretty cool. So let's get into what is Elrond. So if you go to the site, Elrond is built for internet scale, a highly fast, scalable, fast, and secure blockchain platform built for internet scale. That gives a good idea, I suppose, in a quick sentence of what Elrond is, but I like the white paper on this one, guys. So in 2019, so this white paper was produced. It's relatively recent. They describe the vision for Elrond. They say Elrond is a novel architecture which goes beyond the state of the art by introducing a genuine state sharding scheme for practical scalability, eliminating energy and computational waste while ensuring distributed fairness through a secure proof of stake consensus. So that's kind of like the summary of what Elrond is, but it's got two really cornerstone building blocks, as they say here in the white paper. It's got a genuine state sharding approach and a secure proof of stake consensus mechanism. We're going to get into the state sharding approach, but basically what this does is it allows for higher scaling and far more transactions. The Coin Bureau created this article in which they talk about what makes EGLD unique, and they describe 5 different points that I thought were very useful. They say it's designed for simplicity and global adoption, and I would actually say that this is kind of one of the biggest motivations behind Elrond. They're really trying to reach a sector of the population that doesn't get a lot of that doesn't have access to financial markets in the world. So there's like over 1 billion people who just don't have financial resources, access to financial markets, and they're trying to make it accessible, but also easily accessible and readily available for mass adoption. So that's pretty cool. It's a digital store of value in a global reserve, right? We talked about that and comparing it to Bitcoin, right? Again, it says built-in scarcity reinforces demand for EGLD. It's got staking incentive for validator adoption, and the adoption of it reduces inflation and increases scarcity. So the tokenomics behind EGLD are really good looking. I really like them. So I actually want to take you guys to the team behind Elrond. So the team behind Elrond is very impressive. So a lot of these individuals work at Intel, Google, and or previously worked at Intel, Google, Microsoft. They have a team of about 24 individuals and about 8 advisors. One of the things when looking at this team I really liked was they had a link to like their Twitter and their LinkedIn. Sometimes you got to be careful with what cryptocurrencies you're investing in, and you can see that all these people are legit. This guy here, Benjamin Minku, he was actually the founder and CEO of Metachain Capital, and he's basically the CEO, co-founder of Elrond, and he does almost all their interviews. He's kind of the face of Elrond. So if you guys are looking for interviews, make sure you're looking for this guy. One of the key features of Elrond is its sharding. It's sharding attribute, right? So Elrond's not the only blockchain to use sharding. Some other blockchains include Zilliqa. I believe ETH 2.0 is actually going to incorporate sharding into its blockchain. But what's unique about Elrond is it uses something that's called adaptive state sharding. So here it says sharding was first used in databases and is a method for distributing data across multiple machines. This makes it a scaling technique and can be used by blockchain networks to partition states in transaction processing so that each node of the network could only need to process a fraction of all all of the transactions. Moreover, sharding allows for parallel processing of transactions. So basically what this is doing, basically what this means is adaptive state sharding uses parallel processes to speed up transaction time and handle more transactions all at once. So I'm going to show you guys a video in which the co-founder of Elrond basically talks about what adaptive state sharding is.
The first one is called adaptive state sharding. Of course, sharding is already known, is this idea that you can partition the network into smaller networks so that you can parallelize transaction processing. Adaptivity was this very important insight that from everything I've seen, Elrond was the first to bring in, and everyone then immediately adopted, of course, because it was so elegant. And it was just this idea that instead of deciding to start with a set number of shards, which would remain fixed because it would be difficult to change this in real time, you basically devise a formula through which you have a binary tree model based on which you can initially start with one shard, that you can split into 2 shards, then you can split into 4 shards, and so forth, so that in real time you can add or subtract shards as it's needed with the demand in the network.
So that's really cool, guys. So basically what sharding does is basically as the network gets more busy, you can, with adaptive sharding, you can adapt the amount of shards to increase computation, and then as the network gets less busy, because you don't want to waste resources, it will adapt to the demand. So that's really, really cool that such a process exists. And actually, like we read before, this process of sharding existed in other areas of computation. They've just said, hey, we're going to implement it in blockchain. So that's fascinating. So, and one of the things, that Elrond best sells is its computation, basically its ability to handle transactions fast. And honestly, it's got one of the fastest transaction per seconds that I've seen among different cryptocurrencies. So you can see in this chart, basically there's a comparison between Bitcoin, Ethereum, Algorand, Zilliqa, Elrond. We looked at Algorand last video, and you can see it's at 360. Elrond's at 10,000, right? Latency of 5 seconds. It's scalable, right? So scalability is huge. We want blockchain to be applied to everyone throughout the world. If you got an effective blockchain, but it can't be used by a large number of people, then you got the problem that ETH has with super high gas fees. So it was a really, really cool chart kind of comparing TPS and latency between the different well-known cryptocurrencies. So one of the things that I really like about Elrond is not only its fast speeds, its mission, trying to reach a ton of people, but it's also extremely welcoming to developers. And one of the things that's, I'm a Lord of the Rings buff, so I like Elrond because I like Lord of the Rings, so I like the name. But what's funny is they have a programming language that it's called Arwen, right, from Lord of the Rings. So they're just kind of, I don't know if they're doing that on purpose or what. So it's called the Arwen WASM VM, and basically it says here, because the Arwen VM executes WebAssembly, it also means that it can execute smart contracts written in, this is key, any programming language that can be piled to WASM bytecode. So this is really, really cool. It basically means that developers who know a certain language, they can come to Elrond and develop dApps very easily. I mean, they do encourage their new developers to develop using what they call the Rust framework, which apparently allows for more security. It's a little bit more seamless, but it's very welcoming and very attractive to developers because there's just a lot of there's a lot of flexibility. And actually, I want to show you guys another interview in which the co-founder is talking to an individual at Chainlink, and he's basically describing why Elrond is beneficial to developers. There are some other reasons.
Speed and scale of the internet. And this is key to Elrond. But then doing this requires understanding a bit what the developers really need and would love in an architecture. So we've taken a lot of time to design and refine a few key things around the network layer, like the RWAM WASM VM, which is a WebAssembly VM that is super fast, perhaps the fastest at compiling smart contracts and so forth in the space.
Yes, that's what we
then
talked about.
We put a lot of effort in designing a smart contract Rust framework so that developers can write the smart contracts in a much more secure way. Then we've put a lot of effort in designing some libraries that allow them to interact with the blockchain part really easy. Then we've, of course, created an IDE that allows you to tie everything together and put it all in an environment where you can easily deploy the contracts and do some testing and then play with the technology really easy. Now,
and guys, this next, I know this is kind of long, but this next part of the video is what I really like about how attractive Elrond is for developers.
In addition to the dev tooling part and the performance part, we also recognize that it's really important to have a business model. Whenever you design something, you always are, especially as a startup, almost you need to see the death. That if you don't reach the customer and so forth, it's going to be game over very soon. So what we've thought is it would be extremely useful and valuable for developers to have a 30% royalty fee, a royalty program built in directly in any smart contract. So that if you build a successful dApp application, you basically have a built-in business model into that. So for every smart contract that you basically have and have written, you receive 30% of the fees that are processed through the smart contract, which I think is extremely useful.
I mean, that's a huge incentive for developers to build dApps on the Elrond blockchain. Basically, it says, hey, if you build the dApps and it's successful, you don't worry about how you're going to generate income. There's this passive way that you will generate income just by the sheer fact that people are using your dApp. So that's really cool. And also, guys, I just want to say, I really like Chainlink's content. Maybe you guys, I think I'm going to like and subscribe to Chainlink. So, if you like your content, this content here, please make sure to do the same thing. So one of the neat things, guys, I saw was on Reddit, and basically it says top 10 projects that have the most active developers. You see Bitcoin's up there, but I was shocked to see EGLD, Elrond, is number 2. So, developers, the reason why having developers is so important on a blockchain is because if you have a large number of developers, you're essentially building the infrastructure for a city, and then people are going to come thereafter. People want to just go to a blockchain first, and then developers, and then dApps happen. Basically, you have to have the dApps there first, then people will come. So very good to see. So there was an interesting article that actually just came out on just a couple days ago. They say Elrond DeFi 2.0, the era of autonomous banking, a $100 trillion opportunity. So basically they go into discussing Elrond, and they talk about what are the foundational blocks for a new economy. They basically kind of think about what kind of technology is needed in a global economy, and how can blockchain be widely adopted. It says it must be able to operate at internet scale from a performance standpoint. It must be globally accessible, and it must offer simple enough user experience. So they propose a problem, and then they say Elrond can solve that problem by saying Elrond's goal has been to build the backbone for a high bandwidth, low latency, transparent financial system, decentralized in nature, accessible to anyone, anywhere. So, they're basically saying, hey, there's this problem in the global economy. If we want to use blockchain as a way to solve this problem, here's why Elrond is useful. And actually, one of a great use case is actually the MyAir wallet. The MyAir wallet here is Elrond's like official wallet. And what's interesting about this wallet is all you need is your phone number to get started. I've created so many wallets, and it's so annoying. You have to take a picture of your ID. You gotta put in all sorts of information. This only requires your phone number. They promise that it's a secure thing, so it's really cool that they're making cryptocurrency easily accessible for people. So they also have, in some bullish news, they have this program that they've been doing, which is called the Hypergrowth 100 program. And basically, they're posting something new every single day that demonstrates how Elrond is achieving this hypergrowth. And actually, I didn't know that hypergrowth was an official concept, but I'd done some research on it. And basically, the term was first coined in a Harvard Business Review in 2008, and they defined it as the steep part of the S curve that most young markets and industries experience at some point, where the winners get sorted from the losers, right? So basically, Elrond is trying to get on this hyper growth kind of period in which they can, say, a lot of old business models, they don't experience this hyper growth when new technology comes out because they can't adapt as easily. Elrond is saying, hey, we're adapting to what's needed in the industry, and we're going to ride this huge wave of momentum. So that's pretty neat. If you go to their Twitter page, you can see they're posting something every single day on that. They also have a huge amount of partners. You can see their ecosystem, and this is back in February. And since then, they've had a ton of development in the works. You can see Elrond, MyAir wallet. Some notable ones that I saw was, I like Terra Ventura, Orion. They're partnered with Binance. They have some big end user onboarding partners such as Travala, Samsung. So it's really cool. Some oracles here, Chainlink, Band Protocol. So it's really cool just kind of seeing their network, and it kind of shows that Elrond's here to stay. So that's kind of my summary on Elrond. I really like the cryptocurrency. I think it has a lot of great use cases. I think it has a lot of potential to be really successful. And there's some really interesting cryptocurrency that's being developed on the Elrond blockchain. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think Elrond's going to go up? Do you think it has good potential? Do you think it's going to go down? Leave a note in the comments. And if you guys like the content, again, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks.